Lance and Steven in the morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you enjoying your coffee? I hear kids in the background, Lance.
Yeah, my coffee is cold now. And everyone's sick.
And everyone's sick. The sickness has hit the Tire household.
Yep. The guarantee of young children. It's making you sick.
Yeah.
So I'm full of energy, as you can see.
Well, we've got a special guest with us this morning.
Very special, the one and only Kimberly Renee Penny.
Is it Reverend? Are you ordained, Kim?
No.
What?
No. Let's not do that conversation. Hello, Nicole, my friend.
Your biggest fan.
My biggest fan, for sure.
Her Facebook debut.
Famous now.
Yep.
Especially being on this show.
Yeah.
We
expect fan mail to follow.
We peddle in the tens of
viewers.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
All the tens of viewers. Maybe
right.
maybe Kim's mother-in-law will be on the once. Now
yeah.
the once.
Do you know what? Today's her birthday.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
No lie. It's a
happy birthday, Sean's mom.
Happy birthday, Lucy.
Yeah. So if you're watching at some point today, happy birthday.
So do people from Newfoundland have
do we have birthdays yet?
Birthday tradition? Do you guys have birthdays?
We celebrate birthdays in Newfoundland, believe it or not.
As alien as we may seem.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know why
but do you have any like unique to Newfoundland birthday traditions?
Yeah. So every birthday, we gather up however many cod we are in years, and we distribute them to people around us. That's what we do.
That's beautiful. That's about as believable as any of the Newfoundlandish things I learned.
Oh, you were outnumbered today, lad. So yeah, lightly, man.
Well, and as we learned, almost all of our viewers are from Newfoundland. We're very hot in Newfoundland right now.
Newfoundland and Bolivia. That's
right.
Yeah, it was called the end of the earth, right?
That's right. Yeah, Grand Prairie doesn't want what we're doing, but Newfoundland and Bolivia love it.
Yeah, they just eat it up. It's awesome. So, interesting story around Bolivia. So World Vision, we've always had a sponsor child, and the sponsor child we had, I think he was in Nicaragua, I want to say, but I can't remember. It was one of the Central American countries, and Gary J, his name was, and we got a letter this past month that we are no longer supporting him because his community is doing really well. World Vision has gone in and helped, and really the community is doing great, and that they basically no longer need our support. There's places that need our support even more.
Oh, wow.
And so it's basically a farewell letter or whatever. He's 14 years old now or something. And the kid they sent us, his name is Kevin, and he's from Bolivia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I had a similar letter come this fall as well, Steve, for one of my children. And one actually aged out of the program, I'll say, and I have a new one. And then the other was, I think the community had become self-sustaining, maybe is the best word for
enough things have been put in play that community was doing well, and there's other communities that need the help more, right?
That's really cool.
That is cool. It's something cool to know, hey, you've been supporting that kid for the last 6-8 years or whatever it was, I think since he was 5 years old, and then to see that. What was really interesting, his birthday was the same month and year as Julie's, which is why when we were supporting a kid, let's support this one. His birthday is the same month and year as Julie's, right?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So what do you think? Do you want to do our Newfie word of the day, Steve?
Our Newfie word of the day. We'll bring it on the screen, Lance. Rotted.
Rotted. So Kim, you can't answer.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll
So
let Kim
dear
spoil it.
viewers, dear viewers, what do you think rotted means in the Newfoundlandish tongue?
Sounds like Elvish.
Yeah.
Elvish tongue.
Adrienne loves something we said. Rotted. What do you think rotted means? Give us your comments.
And it's not the standard English version of something
A rotten corpse or anything like that. Yeah.
spoiled. Yeah. Well,
So I think my guess yesterday was, Adrienne loves us.
That's great.
All of us.
we'll take the love.
I love Lance and Kim too, I gotta say.
Oh,
I love you
feelings
guys.
mutual.
Yeah. So my guess was it's like when you're feeling upset or put out about something.
You may have heard us use this.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
I'm wondering. Well, the funny thing is, I think out of some of the Newfoundland phrases, this one probably makes more sense
Yeah.
when you.
Some of them don't.
Some of them are almost like the opposite of what you think it should mean.
Yeah. No guesses for rotted? Oh. Our viewership is as energetic as me this morning.
Coffee's all around.
All right, Kim, why don't you tell us what rotted means?
Yeah, it's sort of along the lines of what you said, Lance. Upset, angry, it just
Adrienne
that
guessed
feeling.
empty inside.
Yeah.
Empty inside.
Usually more frustration, anger, especially frustration. I'm just
Frustration, yeah,
rotted.
with a situation, or I'm rotted.
And I wonder if it comes, Steve, I wonder if it kind of has roots similar to I'll call it gut rot. This idea of your stomach being upset or, just internal angst. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I did a Newfoundland linguistics course in university.
Did you?
I did. It was one of my favorites. Sean and I did it the same course. And
Yep.
it's one of my favorite, actually, courses in Memorial University. And it's interesting because you look at the origins of the words, but also how they are, how they're changed. I'll be polite in my language. How they're changed in regions. So dialect differences around the province. So a same word might have 3 or 4 variations depending on the location in the island, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And hello, Marcelo.
Yeah.
Hello, Marcelo.
I told you we're big in Bolivia.
It's our fan base. Yeah.
And it's true when you go to Newfoundland. And I wonder why. I mean, and maybe you know this, Kim, but why is it Newfoundland seems to have that more than any other province?
Well, it's the isolation factors was huge, right? So when you have it very coastal and there weren't good roads, basically communities were settled out of either Ireland, England, Scotland, France. So we have completely French-based communities, and then we had more English Protestant kind of communities. But if you look at it, I mean, if you've ever watched I watch a lot of British TV, or shows, or Irish, Scottish. If you look at the terminology, especially Irish, I will say as a root, A lot of and that's actually a Trivial Pursuit question that I've come across, is which province has the closest to basically Old English? And of course, it's Newfoundland. So the traditions, so while the rest of the English language advanced, I'll say, or changed quickly over time with amalgamation with other cultures, the isolation factor in Newfoundland, and I would say our stubbornness, because we don't give up tradition very quickly in Newfoundland. We actually pride ourselves on staying the same in some ways and not being influenced from those come from away people. So there is that, I'm going to say, deep-rooted sense of tradition that kept words alive that have died in the rest of the English language, that they are very much still alive. I do a lot of reading too. I'm reading books now set in written in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's always interesting to see some of these Old English words pop up where you're like, yeah, we still have that one going around in Newfoundland. But
interesting.
An example would be my Blue Tree, which is an Irish Christian band.
Yeah.
When they came for YC one year and came and stayed with my brother-in-law and sister in St. John's, he actually asked Kelly what part of Ireland she was from. But it was the lilt of her Newfoundland speech, I think, more than the words. It was just the way she said the words. He's like, he assumed she was from Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
they
cool.
love Newfoundland. They said it felt like a little colony of Ireland away from home. Yeah.
So definitely that aspect.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
That's
you go.
Cool. That would have been an interesting course.
It was very interesting. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love words anyway, but again, to even just see the origin and traditions and.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been inviting staff on the last few weeks and having little conversations of getting to know some of the quirky sides or some of the interesting things that you maybe didn't necessarily know. And we had started talking about assumptions we make about people, and you created an image, first impressions and all that kind of stuff. And then you kind of go with that thing. And so we came up with some interesting questions that we've been throwing out to people.
And I did not get previews. So
no
warning.
No warning of what we're going to ask, because we don't even know what we're going to ask.
It's not scripted.
No, this is unscripted. So we take a chance every time we come live. But,
all the complaints go to the complaint department.
Yep.
I think the charm of our show is its the zero planning goes in.
You never know what you're going to get. We sit down, me and Lance sit down, we have a meeting, we say, here's the things we want to discuss. What is that going to look like? We'll figure it out when we do it.
Yep.
Oh man.
So Lance, do you have a question in the chamber?
Yeah, here's one I'll fire out. So again, all of our viewers, you got to comment and give your answer, your assumptions about Kim,
or ask your own questions,
or ask your own questions would be wonderful.
I do get veto power, right?
You get veto power.
You get one veto.
Oh, eek. Okay.
So my first question would be: would you assume Kim to be a dog person or a cat person?
Yeah, I liked that question.
Is Kim a dog person or a cat person? Yeah. And Genevieve is saying good morning.
Good morning, Genevieve.
Is Kim a cat person or a dog person? Oh, Adrienne is guessing dog. Woof woof. Bow wow. Dog. Okay, maybe a dog person. Nicole's saying neither. Now, I don't know how fair that is. Nicole has studied the deep lore of Kim Penny. She's the personal biographer.
I would have said neither as well. But
what Marcelo's saying, Catwoman. And Amanda Harder is saying dog.
it's I find it still jarring when I see Amanda's name come up with the last name Harder.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, it took me a second.
yeah.
Okay. Ding ding.
There you go.
Have you gotten used to writing that out yet, Amanda?
There's and there may be a grieving process in letting go of your last name you've had for all. I know that feeling.
Yeah. So what is it, Kim? Cat or dog person?
Well, I will say categorically, I am not a cat person. Lance keeps sending me cat pictures, and it's like, eh. I think I've been traumatized by some psycho cats. But anyway, no, definitely not a cat person. Yeah. And dog person, I actually do like dogs. But I've never had a dog of my own.
Just don't necessarily want your own.
Right. I think it's more, I don't want the responsibility and being tied down when we like to travel and do all those things. Yeah, but I do like dogs generally if they're not biting me. So just for Nicole, I don't know if I can show this, just for Nicole's purpose, they just got a new little corgi, Zuko. And Zuko and I are learning to get along at this point. He would rather bite me than anything. But my sister in California just got a little corgi named Penny.
Oh,
and this is her third dog. And she has a bird and she has I want to call it not a hamster, some sort of caged animal. Yeah. So growing up, my mom growing up had every pet imaginable. And then when I was growing up, it was, yeah, I don't want that mess. We really didn't have pets much. Then Krista, my younger sister, oh yeah, she needed. Oh, there's Nicole's. Yeah,
there's Nicole's.
There's Zuko. My buddy.
That's a great picture. I saw that yesterday. I was like, that's a fantastic picture.
Yeah, out for a walk, but we all know that it's Nicole carrying Zuko as he walks.
Right.
He's learning. No, but I would have, if I were getting a choice between a dog and cat, it'd be dog. The only pet I've had is a bird. Stanley, my bird.
Your bird.
No longer with us.
You had a bird?
I did.
I don't know if I knew that. If I did, I forgot.
Yeah, he may have died before. It's a few years ago now. It was a birthday gift. It's one of those birthday gifts where Rhonda gives Michael a cage for his birthday, kind of forcing the issue towards a pet. So Michael's gift became something I get to care for more than anybody. But
wonderful.
Yeah, Stanley. We liked Stanley, and yeah, I still have his cage in the closet, trying to decide: are we going to get another bird, or are we done? Yeah.
There you go.
I can honestly say, if it was between a bird and a dog, it's a dog. I don't know.
Yeah, Sean really likes birds, though, especially ones that talk or make, that sing nicely or whatever. So
that's only because Sean likes teaching them words they shouldn't be saying. That's what it is.
Ours never did, but yeah.
That's awesome.
I will not deny that.
Yeah, and Amanda was there saying that there's some minor grief involved with changing her name.
Yeah.
She writes about each way 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And Nicole's dog walked the whole way last night.
Oh my goodness. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Big strides.
That's impressive. Yep.
All right. You got another one for Kim, Steve?
I have one. Yep. When it comes to movie viewing, this is one we asked Heather, and I thought it was a really good question. I liked it. Maybe it's because I asked it. What genre? If Kim is like, okay, this is the completely, I'm just watching a movie that I want to watch. What's the genre Kim would pick? What do you think, Lance? Or do you know?
You need a
She kind of like she kind of answered already a little bit
Did I?
earlier.
When she talked about British shows, but there's all
Yeah.
kinds of British shows. Doctor Who is a
Right,
British
but-
show.
But
That's like sci-fi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think that Kim is really into like so Adrian's saying comedy. I'm thinking Kim is really into well, if she's watching British shows, she probably really likes dry comedy and like Monty Python type stuff.
Yeah, she enjoys her Monty Python.
And you seem like a CSI type person as well. So, like you like those crime shows and like thriller type series,
Sherlock
shows
Holmes
and,
kind of thing.
yeah. You probably dabble. You probably flirt with documentaries here and there too. Maybe.
So would you say like historical crime drama?
Yeah, maybe.
You think you'd go that route?
Maybe. That's my guess. Any other guesses? Kim's preferred genre of movie or television? Definitely not
Post-apocalyptic sci-fi.
romantic.
She loves Mad Max. That's
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Any other guesses? What would you guess, Steve?
I would think probably in the form of, but see, I don't know, because I think there's a lot of movies Kim would probably enjoy, because like as I'm thinking about historical, but I think she would also be the type of person that would watch something like The Martian, right?
Like Kim probably has a wide range,
like a suspense thriller,
yeah,
kind of a thing too.
Nicole's saying, I agree with Lance. If there is physics in the movie, she'll be all over that.
So that's The Martian, right? The Martian's got a lot of that scientific kind of thing too, right?
Yeah, and Interstellar, you probably watched that one too. Yeah. I don't know. What is it, Kim? What do you think? What's your?
Yeah, I think you're pretty close. I watch a lot of, I'll call it crime shows, detective crime shows, tons of them. A lot of British, like at Broadchurch, Shetland, Line of Duty, all of those kind of shows, but also like, NCIS and, I do watch, again, the other side would probably be things like The Good Doctor or New Amsterdam, some more like medical kind of base shows.
Medical drama kind of.
Medical drama probably would be another area. Like you meant Sherlock, for like that's ideal, right? That would be right up my alley, something like that. I actually have gone back and I had started watching like the classic Doctor Who. I was going to watch all the way through, but I got sidetracked with other things. But
was it like 30? Isn't it like 30 years?
A lot of them. That's the thing, right? I like comedy at times. Like I like a good comedy, but it has to be, I like dry humor in some ways, but I don't necessarily like the crude side of humor, right? So I'm looking for something that's witty, comedy, or kind of situational comedy, a really funny situation comedy. I love Monty Python. Probably more because I grew up hearing all my friends sort of quoting lines. And if you watch Monty Python, it is kind of, for a lot of people, like, what in the world is this, right? But when you're so used to quoting the lines to one another, it's kind of, over the top. So
yeah. But I mean, there is something to be said, like a British humor is different.
It is. And Newfoundlanders often have a very dry, sort of sarcastic, I'm almost sometimes morbid sense of humor. Like we learn to laugh at ourselves and at the world and circumstances. And for example, I started watching the show like Murdoch, the Canadian one, right? So I love Murdoch. I've been watching lately even the one Still Standing, which is where Johnny Harris, Steve, you might know him. He's a Newfoundlander comedian. And he does a show, Still Standing, where he travels around Canada, going to small towns and really spending time, and then makes a comedy show out of what he learns. But it's really looking at, small towns fighting to survive, but they're still holding on to their sense of humor. And that's kind of from his Newfoundland roots. That's kind of who we are as a people. So he's turned a career into that, and Still Standing is a Canadian show so you get to see all these little towns and learn a lot about the communities around Canada. At the same time, you hear his kind of witty sense of humor, right?
Right. Well, I mean, one of my favorites was Rick Mercer on This Hour's 22 Minutes. Like, it's like his type of that humor, that little whatever
quirky, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did go through a stint of horror movie watching, but that was like in my 20s, and I can't believe I did it now. So I have a wide range of interests. I still would watch some. I don't like horror generally, but suspense.
Yeah.
Or they're not, grotesque horror, but is it suspense kind of
more
stuff?
suspenseful,
Thriller.
yeah.
Though, I like those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny because when people think of Stephen King, they typically think of horror, but I would say it's birthed out of not really understanding or knowing his actual work.
A lot of the movies that come out of it are actually, you wouldn't necessarily put them in the horror category, right?
No, it's more, it's different, right? It's a different kind of a thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, here's another one, Kim.
Okay.
So for people watching, what gift would you get Kim that you assume she would really love? This is a gift she'd love and be.
My husband might chime in here with his frustrations.
Yeah. So what gift do you think Kim would like?
Nicole's going to nail this one, so she should wait a second.
Yeah, Nicole should wait a second. What do you think, Steve, as we wait for people to guess? What would you get Kim?
I know how much she looks forward to her book of the month club, or with the interesting little treat and the book from, somewhere. I know she really looks forward to that arriving each month. So
Is this a thing you're part of, Kim?
Yeah, so this is a gift from my husband. Started 2 Christmases ago. It's something called Sweet Reads. So it's basically a box arrives once a month, and it has a novel in it. And along with it, it has a postcard, kind of beautiful picture quote. And on the back, it has why they picked that book, but also a list of what's in the box, most of which are all supporting Canadian companies. And it always includes, and it's usually themed to tie into the story. And it always includes some sort of a treat, whether it's like a popcorn or a chocolate bar or something. And then some sort of beverage, whether it's hot chocolate, coffee, tea, something, and then other things. So notebooks or bookmarks or candles or soaps. Like it's quite a nice little gift. And so started a couple of Christmases ago as my part of my Christmas gift. And then my birthday happens to be in July. So 6 months later, then renews another 6 months for my birthday. I said to my husband, you don't have to buy me gifts anymore. It's just in for eternity now.
Just keep funding the
nice.
That's really cool. Well, Marion King is
Mom's watching.
Hi, Mom.
Nicole is saying it's also a gift for her.
It's a gift for her.
I usually get the books that Kim is done reading.
Yeah.
My favorite.
It's her favorite gift Sean has given.
Because I read it, then I hand it to Nicole, and then when Nicole's done, I hand it to Janice, and then when Janice is done, I hand it to Paulette, and then
gift that keeps on giving, Sean.
Keeps on giving. It's awesome.
There you go.
And the really cool thing is, and all the time I've been getting these, there's hardly ever been a novel I haven't enjoyed. Out of all of the books, maybe one or two were kind of like, but most have been great books. So
that's cool because I usually find that I'm paralyzed with indecision when it's like finding the next book. And so I like try to go on lists and stuff, but it's sometimes hard when you read descriptions of books. It's like, I don't know. But the idea of like getting it and you're like, oh, I just commit to reading whatever's put in front of me, and then you enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I could say I'm quite tenacious as a reader in the sense of books that other people would have quit on long ago. I will read.
You push through.
Yeah, and so I've been going back to. I have the Modern Library top 100 novel list, and
So like all the classics, Catcher in the Rye, all that.
yeah, the Iliad. Dostoevsky's books.
Yeah.
Like and so I'm reading through a few I've almost had to give up on, but I will generally push through even if it's a difficult read that way. But because I part of it is I just love language. I love a well-crafted sentence or paragraph, and sometimes even some of the harder to follow or more sluggish books, you have those moments where it's like, oh, that's said so well, or those kind of things. Yeah.
Amanda's wondering who your favorite authors.
Well, one that Nicole and I both love is Alan Bradley. And it's this he writes about set in 1930s England, I think. And it's the central character is this teenage girl. Her mom has died. She's being raised in this, I'll call it castle, but, kind of a traditional British manor kind of thing with her dad and sisters. And she is a bit of a amateur sleuth chemist. So her personality, so it's a whole series of books. I think there's probably 8 or 10, or at least 8 or 10 at this point. The first of which is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie. And then like the string that holds the hangman's purse. All of these kind of really interesting titles, but they're all set around her and her life and as an amateur sleuth chemist and her interactions with her family. Very kind of wholesome in a lot of ways, but really kind of that quirky personality comes through. Another author that Sean and I both liked is Alexander McCall Smith, who writes, say, the #1 ladies detective agency series, but he's got 3 or 4 series like the Scottish Philosophy Society or something is another series. And so these are some authors we've enjoyed.
Cool.
But there's dozens of authors that, and I'm triple layering on our bookshelves at this point between Sean and I. And
you read like a book a week, don't you?
I think I've read about this year in 2021. I think I'm at probably 36 or 37 books. Yeah.
There you go. Something you maybe did not know.
Yeah.
I try to read 20 books a year. Like that's
right. Well, and part of that was, I think COVID, as I've actually spent more time doing those things that I like to do, kind of those downtime things. So when knowing that I was reading sort of that top 100 books of all time based on the Modern Library readers list, Rhonda actually gave me as a Christmas gift one year a poster that has 100 books of a lifetime, basically. And what it is a scratch poster. So you see the title, and then when you've read it, you can unscratch it. You see kind of a little picture of a cover. And so I'd read, out of the 100, I'd probably already read, let's say 40, 45 of them. So then I kind of put my Modern Library list aside, and this became my reading list. So I finished that maybe about a month or 2 ago. So I've read all 100 there, and now I'm back to my modern readers list. So I'm reading Joseph Conrad books right now. So
nice. You got a couple of questions here. So Marcelo's asking, what is your favorite phrase from a book that you may like to be used to be remembered from your generations? Not sure I understand that last bit there.
I think the idea of
long-lasting phrase. Yeah.
Keep long-lasting. Oh,
See,
the problem with being a reader but having a terrible memory is in the moment it's just so great, and then it's like whoop, it's gone. I don't know if I can answer that. What I have been doing with the books that I've been reading in the last 36 or so, actually one of the gifts in my Sweet Read box was a sort of literary analysis notebook where you could write down what the author was, what the character, kind of a little bit about the characters. And so as I finished each book, in the notes section, I was actually writing some quotes down that really stood out in the novel to me. So I would have to go back and kind of look at that, but there's not one necessarily that for all time. The other thing is, as I read nonfiction, I do read some nonfiction as well, especially Christian nonfiction. I have a whole side of my wall where I have quotes on it that I come back to often. Again, and those would probably more be truths that I would want passed on to the next generation, right?
There's a ton of great ones, but one jumps to me for quotes, and it's one I've actually referred to a couple times this year because I'm like, wow, this is timely, like, because we're talking 80 years later, 90 years later. I'm just going to put it in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it came up. Multiple people posted.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deciding what to do with the time that's given to us.
For such a time as this, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, what a beautiful
good old
image,
Gandalf.
right? As you go through the whole story of the Lord of the Rings and see the trial that Frodo has to go through carrying this burden and wishing that it never happened.
Yeah. And see, that's another genre I love is I'm going to say fantasy.
Yeah.
So Lawhead and, these kind of, fantasy ones are another. Yeah. What people may not know about me. Oh, sorry.
Amanda's just asking if you enjoy translated readings.
Yeah. I do actually. Some of the interesting ones, I'm amazed at how well novels written in other languages translate. Especially, I've read some, let's say Spanish, originally Spanish books. There's one called, John's going to be mad if I don't remember it. His last name is, I think, Zuan, Carlos. It has to do with the library, and I'm forgetting the title. But yeah, it was such a good book, and it was originally written in Spanish. But again, when you read it in the translation, it's like the language is still so rich and clear, right, and poetic almost.
Yeah.
So I feel like they do a good job of translating a lot of these novels. Yeah. Like I said, and I'm pretty tenacious about pushing through, even if it's a little choppier. I have found sometimes you do the Kindle download, depending on who's done the translate. There are times where honestly it's not even readable. Because I actually read one that I downloaded on Kindle where I could read, it was not intelligent sentence, but I could take the phrase that's there and find a synonym. I knew the synonym that it was meant, so I almost had to translate it myself, phrase by phrase, because it didn't make sense as written, but I could substitute the synonym and I knew what they meant. But that's
tenacious. That's tenacious to a whole other level. I would not have gone past the first page or two.
Yeah.
I read Don Quixote.
Oh, I love that
one of those free ones for the first quarter, and then I bought a more legitimate one after. Yeah, the difference in
in an actual translation,
yeah,
versus whatever program they're using to translate it for you.
Yeah, exactly. So well, there's lots to know about Kim there.
Yeah.
What people may not know.
Yeah.
Is I also like musicals.
Right. Musicals.
Yeah. And other people on staff hate musicals, but
not me.
Lance, why do you hate musicals?
I really don't hate musicals. Musicals are awesome.
Yeah.
It depends on the specific musical for me. It's not something I say, oh, it's a musical. Oh, I definitely need to see. It's like, I don't know. We'll see.
Depends on the musical.
So you really enjoyed Hamilton and
going to see it again in June or July, whenever it is this summer. Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, and so the only movie I've watched, I've done a lot of shows on Netflix Prime or whatever. I think the only movie I've watched in the last 6 months was actually Bella or Cinderella.
Oh.
And it is a musical. I don't think I realized as I started it was going to be a musical, but it is. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You now know Kim. So if going back to the gift question, then books and book related things are probably good gifts for you. Hey, Kim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
I think that's it.
we killed our time for sure. It's
So,
good having you on today, Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Kim.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask any deep, dark secrets. We're all good.
That's for next
No,
time.
that's for if we can convince you to come on next time. That's when we.
Next time, find out all about Kim's first kiss. How it went, what she liked about it, what she didn't like.
Oh,
Who
yes,
it was
that's
with.
TMI.
Oh. So, any announcements, Lance, that we need to put out from CFA for people for this week?
I don't know.
Register
Again,
for Sunday, 9 and 11. We're going to
Right.
2 services because of reduced capacity. So don't forget, if you're planning on attending live this Sunday, you're going to want to register in advance.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Alpha starts up on Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Basically, get
attempt
the
a hybrid
Church
model.
Center app.
Yeah. Church
the
Center
Church
app.
Center app.
Download it.
Look
If
at
you don't
what's
have the
going
Church
on.
Center app, get it.
So
Yeah,
easy.
And the advantage of the Church Center app from the kids' perspective is you get to check your kids in and just we scan your QR code. It saves so much time at the check-in process versus us having to search names and kind of go through that whole process. It's like a second. So really encouraging parents to move in that direction because then if we move towards dismissing out of service like we used to do, it's going to be, we need a quick process because everyone's coming at the same time then versus coming at a staggered entry.
Yeah.
So really encouraging parents to take the plunge, download the app. It's really quite convenient all around.
Yeah. Amanda is saying you should watch Annette on Prime. And then she wants to know what you think.
Annette. Okay, I haven't watched that one, but thank you for the recommendation. And that's, Lance, you're saying you don't know what to read. Talk to readers. I get recommendations all the time. I usually have a list of books that I'm waiting to read or shows to watch. So
well,
what
I've really enjoyed, I got a Kindle and I love getting samples. Because then I find if by the end of a sample of a book, if I'm not like into it, I know not to read it. But I like that I don't have to commit to purchasing anything. And then if I'm like, I need to know what happens next, then I know, well, I got to buy the book now. So that's always handy.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Steve.
For sure.
Thank you, beloved fans.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see everybody next week, hopefully.
Next week. See you later.